Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space. Hope you enjoy. Story number 1. A race with a different kind of power. Written by Good Dear, Nice Beer. Please take a seat and let us begin. What is it that you wanted to ask me about? Thank you for the timely accommodation, if it's nothing too serious. I think at least, but I came here to clarify just in case. Very well. I'm listening. I've been performing a routine production chain inspection, and I have found some unusual and frankly confusing changes. Such as? For some reason, the Maxi Drink TM brewery I oversee has replaced all of its stock of dyes with much less vibrant alternatives, and we seem to switch to the Gorble fruit syrup as our sweetener. I've talked to the low-level managers, and they told me that it was a top-down order. But I wasn't notified of such a change. I apologize for stepping out of line, but the dyes alone will cost us a great sum in comparison to the older ones, and our forever thirst effect will disappear with the change of sweeteners. I also observed, the inspector said while putting a bottle of the fizzy drink on the table. The backside of the packaging has gained an informative section. The composition information provided isn't enough to give our competitors an insight into our recipe, but the sole fact it's there is concerning to me and, he said while putting his fingers on the little picture near the text. Why are we advertising our drink scores a measly 4 out of 10 on the nutrition scale? The being on the other side of the desk watched in a sort of embarrassment. They paid attention to the conversation, but occasionally were seen clinking on their datapad. I see that we've made quite the mistake indeed. I'm sorry. The guidance department has been performing at its maximum capacity this month. You must have been accidentally skipped over. Yes, you are correct in all those matters. Dyes will cost us, truthfully, entire double digits of our profits. And I am aware that we won't be able to keep our customers loyal with a change of the sweetener. But the problem is, they said in a quiet and saddened tone, we have no choice. As I said, you should have been notified. Rest assured that these changes are indeed coming from the top and don't apply to just your brewery. We have recently entered the human market and, they do things differently than the rest of the galaxy. We would have been deemed too dangerous for the general public if we kept our standard procedure, and there is just no way that we can afford to pass by a market where tens of billions of creatures can purchase our products. But why change the galactic production lines for a single species? I will admit that they are quite populous, but still. Well, you are correct. The rest of our client races outnumber them severely. But even so, our estimates put the potential income increase from this expansion at around 27%. Oh my! How is that possible? Yet again, they do things a bit differently. Their wealth is significantly more spread out, and while the Korg are wealthier on paper, only their nobility can purchase our products. The rest of the population can only dream of having a sip of the Maxi Drink TM. But in human society, half of them can afford a bottle of it weekly. I see. That does make sense now. I am concerned about our standing internationally, however. Won't Markish Breeze TM or Ulpa TM snatch up our customers in the non-human markets? It is significantly harder to be competitive now. Don't worry about that. Our persuasion team is currently on tour of all the major governmental capitals across the galaxy. We are still the biggest corporation in the galaxy, and we intend to use that influence. I don't follow. We prepared a series of bills to be adopted in the near future across all civilized space. If we have to abide by human standards, others will too. Not to mention the PR boost from being the sole advocates of consumer welfare in the industry. I see. Well, that does fill me with confidence. Thank you for the talk. I'm sorry to have taken up your time. No fault of your own. I'm glad you understand. I hope that you were isolated case and not being informed. I don't want to... Oh, I'm pretty sure the whole queue is full of inspectors like me. Fetchink's representative was talking to me earlier about not understanding the new seatbelt rule. End of story. Story number 2. Humanity Failed, written by Pixel Not Included. When humanity found that they were not alone in the universe, they vowed to be better, vowed to put behind them hatred and war. They joined the Galactic Federation with an unbridled joy and optimism. For decades they learned, innovated, and grew. When the Ulna appeared and demanded our unconditional surrender, humanity strove for peace. They attempted to offer some of their worlds to the Ulna in exchange for peace. When the Ulna lost the first Federation colony, humanity let out a weary sigh. They knew that they had failed. Humanity had no military to speak of. The newest member of the Federation, they were a peaceful species. When they vowed to us, the Geistlanki, that they would stand by us and defend our homeworld, we did the equivalent of smiling and patting a small child on the head. Of course, dear, and we were thankful for your help, but don't get hurt. When the humans' entire defense fleet was left spewing atmosphere and fire in orbit, unlike many of other Federation members, not a single ship retreated. Then when the Ulna swarm descended upon my planet, the humans knew that they had failed again. I was on the final refugee ship to escape my homeworld, headed for human space. It was not my first time here, but everything had changed since the last time. The city seemed to shut down, and supplies were being rationed. When I asked, I was told their economy had shifted to a war footing. Renouncing their vows of peace and, with an industriousness frightening even to their allies, the humans went to war. Humanity, whom we knew as a race of peace-loving artists and scientists, had once more failed. I am standing here to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the humans' victory over the Ulna. This is a day of great sadness for the humans. The Ulna were an hive mind species and are now extinct. To ensure peace in the galaxy, humanity annihilated them. Once again, humans had failed. After acts of genocide on their own world thousands of years ago, humans had made the sacred vow of never again. Yet, the rest of the Federation celebrates this day, for it marked the day when hope returned. We celebrate humanity because they strove for peace in the face of war. We celebrate humanity because every minute they held off the Ulna, another 10,000 civilians fled to safety. We celebrate humanity because they destroyed the single most bloodthirsty race that we have ever encountered. Humanity has failed again and again. This is because humanity always reaches for the stars and strives to be better than they have ever been before. I would argue that many of humanity's failures are grander than the successes of other races. Thylian Cuthran, Githlanki Ambassador to Earth. End of story. Story number 3, The Nerds, written by Mean Gator. They say that reality is stranger than fiction, and they are right. First contact was something that always excited our imagination. The proof that we were not alone in the universe, that there were others like us, sentient, intelligent, able to dream, able to plan, to explore. We were not alone, but we didn't know that. We have been watched for many centuries. We have been watched since Babylonians made the first tables filled with calculations, since they devised the first calendars. We have been watched when the Greeks expanded the ancient knowledge and introduced mathematical rigor, when Euclid wrote elements, and when Eudoxus and Archimedes made the first tentative steps towards calculus. You see, we are not Deathworlders. Earth-type planets are common enough. We weren't being admired or feared as fighters. There are plenty of alien species. that their fighting abilities would put the Yautja from the Predator franchise to shame. We weren't being admired or feared as tacticians or strategists, though we belonged to the very best. We wouldn't be able to compare with any advanced AI. We have been watched and we have been manipulated for one reason and one reason only. The real reason is not what the conspiracy nuts fantasized. They didn't want to conquer us. They didn't want to enslave us. They wanted one thing and one thing only, not to destroy ourselves. Not from the kindness of their hearts, no. Nowadays, several centuries after first contact with the galactic community, it's common knowledge. But before that, no one even came close to pinpoint exactly where humanity excels. It's our mathematics. We are simply the best mathematicians in this part of the universe. We always imagined that first contact will be made when we colonized our solar system, and we didn't. Or after achieving FTL, and we didn't. Nope, the first contact was made on July 21st, 2273, when the first proof of Riemann's hypothesis was published, after being verified, on Journal of Advanced Mathematics, making it a theorem. We are now part of the Galactic Federation, living in a post-scarcity civilization. Earth hosting 3 of the top 5 galactic universities in mathematics, computer science, physics, and engineering. We are the galaxy's nerds. End of story. I would just quickly like to thank the T5 channel members and patrons. Caspar Arnholtz, Cam Maxwell, Barky, It's Difficult to Pronounce, Lord Azrakul, and Arcadian.